Hey everyone, Sarah here at Three Little Potters, and I have a little bit of a different video for you today. Today I want to talk about, can an artist retire? And the short answer to this question is no. So you can just stop watching right now. I've answered it. No, they can't. Let's dig into it a little bit. First, I want to talk a little bit about why I think the answer in general is no, and then also the financial side of retiring. Being an artist is one of those jobs that becomes so closely linked to your identity that it's not something that you ever really retire from. It's part of who you are. So even if you decide at some point in your life that you need to work less hours, then you're still an artist. You can't stop being creative in that way. And there's a lot of things that you'll continue to do in your life. Even if you are an artist, and even if you're not necessarily thinking about stopping being an artist, your ability to produce at the same level you are now or in the future is going to change. So being an artist isn't an excuse to not plan for the future. I used to always say, I had these things that I would say. I'd be like, oh, I'm going to work till I die. And, I think there are a lot of people that have that sentiment that they're just going to keep on working, that there's not going to be a retirement. So there's no need to save and there's no need to plan. And for me, saying things like that was really a crutch. It's, I would say, why would I ever want to retire? I don't want to retire. I love what I do. But the reality of this is that I'm physically going to change as I age. There's going to be a point where, my hands hurt more, my wrists hurt more. I'm already at the point where maybe I don't want to work 14-hour days. And what does that look like? So you still need a plan. And I'm realizing that, you know, I haven't had a plan. My whole life, I have had no plan, and I've just had these excuses that I say, which are really just, I don't want to learn about finances, and I don't want to learn about the investing side of things and all of that. It's not that hard, but it is a little bit intimidating, especially if you didn't grow up in a household where investing was a thing or talking about money was a thing. You're kind of at this disadvantage. And you know, retiring as an artist, first of all, you don't want to change your identity. So you don't want to actually retire. You want to maybe pick out the very best parts of your job, the very things that you love making the most, and figure out a way financially to be able to only produce those things. The other piece to retiring as an artist is that if you've been a full time artist for any length of time, you likely do not have a big company backing you. You don't have a boss. You don't have somebody who's going to match a contribution into a retirement account. There's no pension. The money that you have is the money that you made and planned to put away for your future. And I feel like that's just so hard to do and so hard to motivate yourself to do. I'd love to hear how other people are doing with their own retirement funding, if you're doing well, or if you're like me, who's, almost 50 now, and all of a sudden you realize, wow, I did not plan for anything. And unless I want to eat nothing but canned chicken noodle soup from age 70 to 90, I need to step up my game. This is the first year where I'm working on becoming financially literate. So for me personally, my plan is starting with learning the things that I've neglected to learn, like how to invest. What's a Roth IRA? Some of these important questions, and I'm definitely learning this myself because I quickly realized in my research that paying a financial advisor is a very, very slippery slope into letting somebody take way too much of your money. So if you can kind of learn those key fundamental pieces by yourself, it will help you in the long run. And it's not as hard as I thought it was. So yes, I now have opened an investment account so that I can start putting money in my Roth IRA and start trying to save for retirement. But I'm struggling. This is only year one, and it's really hard to think of my future self and what my future self needs. It's also hard for me to come to terms with maybe not being as physically able as I am now, like, because I want to keep doing the things that I love doing. But, is there a point? Yes, there's a point where I'm not going to be able to make 100 little ring dishes in a day. There's a point where I'm going to be like, wow, maybe it's 10, maybe it's none. Maybe all I do today is make a slab built coffee mug, and, that's great. That's something that I accomplished today. So, planning for how my art life might change over the years is a struggle in a lot of ways, because it's a struggle to plan for it financially. I'm definitely the person who's like, I've got money, let's spend it. Let's go on a trip. Let's do this. Let's have fun. Let's buy more glazes. We want all the glazes. Um, but I have to kind of think of future me who, would be in her late 60s and can't buy any glazes because she didn't plan. And I hope that by talking about this sort of publicly in my own struggles, that maybe I'll catch a few of you that aren't thinking about a plan for retiring, and maybe just check into the SSA.gov, see how much you're getting per month when you retire, and think about your lifestyle now and if that amount is something that you can live off of. But also look at your own process of making things. I'm considering getting a pottery studio, like a real one in a real building, and maybe funding that now while I still have the energy to do that. Because, teaching is something that I can do when I'm older. Teaching something that's not going to hurt my hands or my joints or, anything like that. And I'm considering for my other job, which is, y'all know, is wedding photography. I'm considering how I can maybe hire somebody to not work 14-hour days anymore. Um, yeah, there's definitely, at one point last year, last year, yeah, last year, I was having a really low point with pottery where I felt like no sense of community, no sense of anything. It was just me alone working endlessly in my laundry room to make money, and I was really missing that connected feeling, and it was pretty miserable, and I felt like leaving it behind. And I like talking to people, being a little bit more outgoing sometimes, leaving the house at least once a week, you know, things like that. And yeah, but wedding photography, I'm already starting to feel it. I am an older photographer, and I, I don't feel old, but I feel like, I'm watching a lot of these 20 something photographers showing their profiles, showing these glamorous shots, and I'm like, oh, wrinkle cream. And it's not that I'm vain, it's that I'm worried about not being able to be hired anymore because I'm older, or having to reduce my prices to keep up with that age bias. And it's scary. And pottery is one of those jobs where there's not really an age bias. People are like, oh, awesome old lady potter. She's awesome, right? She must know so much. So it's one of those jobs where you're not looked down upon for having wrinkles or being a little older. And that's definitely something that's on my mind these days, because you can't avoid aging, and you can't hide your face from the public forever, and people are going to notice that you're aging, and you're going to notice. And I just hope that I have enough time to make some money so that I have a retirement account, and so that it's something other than mac and cheese and chicken noodle soup for the rest of my life. But if you're still watching and you have time, I'd love it if you gave me a comment. I'd love to hear about your own sort of retirement plans, you know, how you're planning to keep art as part of your life, how you're planning to evolve as an artist. I guess maybe we're not looking at it as mobility challenges, we're looking at it as evolution of maybe taking more time and more care with individual pieces and working slower and doing your very best art. Yeah, I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks for watching, guys.